Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum. If you're looking for a crazy game with 3 repositioning cards and jump drive almost every single round, starting at round 2, this is a game for you. Let's go. At the bottom here, I am playing as a Fortified Specialist, and I am up against Lex playing as a Sabertooth Specialist. My MMR at the time of the game is around 1850, and Lex is around 1750. Right off the bat here, I am going to go heavy aggro with triple fans and triple spiders, everything on the line. And my opponent is going to play defense with 2 sledgies, 3 arclights, and of course 2 crawlers. Whenever you see a hyper aggro game like this, you just want to make sure that you are prepared for an eventual transition into either range or some very strong flanking on both ends, because when my units are close to your tower and your units are not defending your tower, I win the game. Alright, note that my opponent is Sabertooth Specialist, which means he will get a big saber in round 2, so I have to position my fans just right so I don't get one-shotted by this saber. Round 2 cards. Redeployment is offered, and I took it because I was going to go Wasp anyways, so this is going to be a free jump drive for me. And for my opponent, I think he took Elite Hacker. Great card into Spiders into later rounds, especially if you go Spider Mine. Elite Hacker comes with a level 3 Hacker, and of course, it can hack a level 1 Tarantula in just about 3 seconds. I put my Wasp at the front here. I was not expecting any sort of heavy anti-air starting at round 2. I thought for sure it was just going to be a bit more crawlers to defend his flanks to complement the Sabertooth. But I was wrong. There was in fact a single Phoenix at the front. I put another squad of fans here because my Tarantula was slightly undefended on the far right. So I want to make sure that in case he puts a Sabertooth on the far right, say right here, my Tarantula is adequately defended. But of course, my hopes and dreams in this round falls onto these Wasps, but it seems like they are being destroyed fairly quickly. Now, whenever you're playing Battle Spiders, round 3 is very important. Round 3, you have to make a decision of whether to take range or Spider Mine. Being on the line so close to my opponent, I think Spider Mine might have been a slightly better choice. However, I do want to get rid of this chaff as well. So we're going to have to see what happens in round 3. Round 3, we're gonna get another redeployment card. This is fantastic. So we're gonna get another card, and now we have 2 redeployment cards, which means we can jump 2 squads of Wasp around essentially for free. And that is very exciting. I haven't played a game like this since, I don't even know. I mean, the last time we played something like this, but I have seen videos online of other players kind of playing this, just essentially moving this whole army left and right and forcing your opponent to over defend and leading them into traps. And I am just absolutely looking forward to the kind of craziness that I can do with this kind of game. All right, so first, we're going to put down 2 squads of Wasps. We're going to mobile beacon them around and to the back. And the reason I'm going around and to the back is I want to make these sledgehammers to move forward, and I don't want anything to do with these sledgehammers. If the sledgehammers are not slowing down my Wasp, I should be able to get tower fairly easily. On the other side, I reposition my Wasp to the flank. I know that as an aggro player, my flanks are extremely vulnerable, so having a single Wasp there as insurance should be pretty good. A surprise missile from me, because I just didn't want to deal with the sledges at all, so I am moving forward and I am going to get tower. Once I have tower, my Wasp proceeds all the way to the right-hand side, and of course, my other squad of Wasp are now being well-timed and arriving just in time into the battle, and now just killing everything else. Once I get rid of the big units, I should be able to get tower once again, and that allows my Wasp to survive a little bit longer into these fangs. Alright, very good. All right, we've used the element of surprise for 2 rounds, which means my opponent will surely catch on, right? Farseer is going to be a great card for my opponent. Scorpion is going to be a great card for me. Scorpion will help me clear out these sledges a lot faster and also gives me the necessary firepower to contest the Sabertooth later on. Farseer is just such a great card for Wasp. However, if you're going with a lot of Wasps, then Farseer may not be as good. But I think out of all the cards here, Farseer is probably going to be the best. Fire Badger is probably the close second. In terms of chaff clear, sledgehammers are pretty weak. And also when you're playing defensively, a Fire Badger should give you both the HP. They're super tanky, starting at 10,000 each for level 2. And they should provide a nice shield for your Sabertooth. If you got Fire Badgers, I might consider selling the Sledgehammers. I feel like Fire Badgers just do chaff clear a little bit better than the Sledgehammers in a defensive position. You don't really need the super range, right? Fire Badgers can get range or bring it up to a total of 100 when you're playing defensively because your enemy's units will just run towards you. Okay, so it's going to be AA Mustangs all the way in the back for anti-air. I was going to try that side once again. I knew there was going to be a pack of fans here, so I added a extra 2 sets of crawlers to distract the fans. And I moved the other 2 right there in the middle, knowing that there's probably not going to be anything else in the middle. Now, my Wasp on the left is doing okay, but the ones on the right are now under siege by AA Mustangs, and they are no joke. Look how quickly they're bringing down these level 2 Wasps. Alright, fortunately they are level 2, which means I am going to get a pretty lucky tower, and that's going to help me clear out at least some of these Mustangs. Once the Mustangs are on the board, I think I'm going to face a pretty significant chaff clearing problem in the later rounds, which means I will have to spend some money to take range and also high explosive ammo. But for this round, I think I still got it because of the Scorpion. The big splash on this iron balls are just too good to ignore. I get into round 5 now. Where can we go? Oh, another redeployment card. This is fantastic. Now we can have 3 squads of units. It doesn't even have to be Wasp. It can be any unit moving left and right. Right? Where do we want to do this? First of all, we're going to get range on everybody so they can survive quite a bit longer. Then we're going to plot our little evil cheesy plan. My opponent is just compensating AA everywhere. He's so terrified of these wasps because remember, I can put all 3 wasps in the ball and they become like this unstoppable death ball rolling towards the tower. But for now, I think I'm just going to keep pummeling that side. I want to bait my opponent into putting a lot of energy to defend on one side instead of spreading his forces out, because in the later rounds, I can have a lot of big giant units that's going to take a lot of HP out of his health by putting it on the opposite side. All right, everything is ready, and I totally forgot about the Phoenix in the back line. I did level up the tower on the far right, thinking that I wasn't going to defend it in the last round, but I totally forgot about it on the left-hand side, which means once this Phoenix is warping, it will get my tower. Let's just hope that the timing is not too bad. All right, while it's coming in here, this time it looks like my opponent is more than prepared. All these AA Mustangs are just doing great work, taking down my Wasp here. Mustangs and, well, my Scorpions and, of course, the Tarantulas are doing okay. And now with range, they can shoot even further. However, I feel like this round is going to go to my opponent with just overwhelming ground force. And, of course, the Phoenix are still working, and now they're moving on to the other tower. Scorpions are doing great, though. They're taking a lot of pot shots from afar, but with the tower debuff, this is going to be a round to my opponent. Unit drop. Ooh, Overlords. This is shaping up to be an extremely satisfying game. So I took the Overlord here, and the reason I want the Overlord is because Overlord can become such a strong assault unit with the chain gun, the Overlord artillery. And of course, Overlord, I also run jump drive on them. So that means at some point, I will take jump drive on the Wasp for a cheap 250. I'll also take jump drive on the Overlord. This is quite a bit more expensive. And I can ship 3 more units using the redeployment card from one side to the other. So for now, I'm not in a hurry to do that just yet, but I am in a hurry to continue building on one side so that my opponent can start piling up all of his units on one side before I eventually switch to the other. Mechabellum is as much of a mind game as it is counters. So sometimes it's not just about looking at what sort of units counters what, but also planning ahead and thinking that if your opponent are going to overcompensate and overdefend on one side, how do I hit them on the other? Even if you don't have a solution now, maybe start planning and baiting your opponent into overdefending on one side. And that's exactly what I'm doing with these boats. The chain gun, put a mobile beacon on them, and now we're going to ram it straight to that tower. Chain gun does 11,000 damage per shot every 3 seconds. So even if the tower gets upgraded, which gives them an extra 20,000 HP, it's not going to take long for my Overlords to take them down. My right hand side is completely abandoned. We have a single poor Tarantula trying to defend against it. Here we have the elite hacker on the board, and they're just stealing my Tarantulas left and right. A good thing, I do have the Overlord going into the tower, which means the hacker can only steal one of my blue Tarantulas and nothing else. And now with the mobile beacon coming in to the other side, hopefully the rest of my army can mop up the rest of his army, and it is looking pretty good for me this round. All right, we're going to get into round 7. Additional deployment is pretty good for my kind of style. For me, it's all about big swings and big momentums. And if I'm my opponent, I must be fuming right now because not only he has to deal with this jump drive shenanigan with the redeployment, he also has to deal with the psychological strain of not knowing where the threat is going to come from. And that sense of unknown can sometimes be very debilitating. All right, in this round, I'm going to take Loose. Loose is going to help my crawlers, which I have many, to tank a heck a lot more, allowing the rest of my army to actually do the damage. My opponent added a cheeky steel balls all the way on the other side, and he is going to take my level 2 tower. Added crawlers here on the far right into the shallow flank. It will tank that 50 missile, and that's okay. I'm not planning on relying on that crawler this round at all. But next round, that's going to give my opponent another problem he'll have to think about. And it's just piling on the problems one after the other. This round, my opponent is going to add oil to the ground here. Oil is a great option since I do have a lot of crawlers, which means once this fire badger gets in range, a lot of my units are going to be burned. That's okay. Let's check out how this round goes. Alright, so on the left hand side here, the flank got instantly deleted, and now we got fire on the ground. We still have so much chaff coming in on the other side. Hopefully I can do a few shots of chain gun, and here goes the fortress. Now tower is mine once again, and my big tarantula. Both of them are now moving towards the Mustangs. High explosive ammo is excellent into small units like Mustangs, but I do have a tower down, and I hope that my debuff goes away before these Mustangs kill my tarantula. And indeed, that will be the case. I'm going to move to the other side. I'm going to get tower. That's going to be another round for me. All right, next round. Got another unit drop. Melting point is really great into my boats. However, after I saw the melting point, my thought went, Well, this is it. This is going to be the final round. So here comes the mass migration. First of all, jump drive on the boats. Everybody moves to the side. Secondly, we're going to have jump drive maybe on this wasps. It's just a cheap 250, and I do have 2 squads of wasp. So we're going to take jump drive, and we're going to move the wasp over as well. One of them is going to defend the flank here, because we know there's going to be steel balls, and they might have something else in front. So I put a squad of crawlers to deal with the steel balls, and the wasp there to deal with anything else. I started moving the rest of my units over as well. I moved the crawlers over. I moved a few tarantulas over. So now, if you're looking at the board, it looks very different than what it was before. And finally, the nail in the coffin, I added a single row of fire because I know all of his units are going to be occupied with my back corner crawlers for just a little bit. And with the oil, Son of my chaff is going to walk in and get ignited, which means everything on his side are just going to burn. And of course, there's the melting point there, waiting for the inevitable boat rush that will never come. And let's watch this final round unfold. All right, the flank here is being dispatched very quickly. The boats are moving towards the tower, and there's almost no defense at that area whatsoever. Tarantulas are coming in and just deleting every single small unit. And of course, on the left-hand side, oh, the glorious barbecue with every single Mustang and fans dying to their own fire. Ah, what a wonderful sight. And now we're going to get to the tower, and we're just going to mop up the rest of his units. And that is going to be GG. Wow, I absolutely love games like these. I mean, this really shows just how much depth this game can have, aside from your standard boards, aside from your unit counters, this sort of psychological warfare, the ability to give your opponent a threat and not capitalize on it right away, force your opponent to guess, and also force your opponent to over-defend. I just love these type of games. And one of the other reasons why I love aggro nowadays more than I like standard. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you'd like to see more games like this, here's another video for you, and I will see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics, Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress, the battlefield's alive with swarms.